Hey guys, hope you're having a good day so far today. So today's video, we're going to go over Anakin blaming Obi-Wan for holding him back. Now we all saw this in episode 2, it was right after he killed the Sand People on Tatooine, after, they kidnapped and tortured and killed his mother. He ends up blaming Obi-Wan for holding him back, but in the novelization, it goes so much more into depth on everything that he actually thought regarding this statement. So, here it is. I'll be the most powerful Jedi ever, he railed on. I promise you. I will even learn to stop people from dying. Anakin. It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He stormed across the room and slammed his fist into the workbench again, nearly dislodging the plate of food. He put me out of the way to guard me, she said quietly. I should have been out with him, hunting the assassins. I'd have had them a long time ago and would have gotten here in time and my mother would still be alive. You can't know. He's jealous of me, Anakin rambled on, paying no attention to her at all. He wasn't talking to her, she realized, but was just playing it all out verbally for himself. She could hardly believe what she was hearing. He put me out of the way because he knows that I'm already more powerful than he is. He's holding me back! He finished by picking up his wrench and throwing it across the garage, where it smashed against a far wall and clattered down among some spare parts. Anakin, what's wrong? She cried at him. Her volume and tone finally got to his attention. I just told you! No, Padme yelled back at him. No, what's really wrong? Anakin stared at her, and she knew that she was onto something. So what I find interesting here is that this is one of the first times that Anakin verbally exclaims and admits that Obi-Wan was the reason that his mother died. Now, obviously, Obi-Wan wasn't really the reason, it was the Sand People, but we can see where Anakin's mind is at this point and how he holds some resentment already towards Obi-Wan because of this. Now, in Anakin's defense, he's just frustrated. He's going through a traumatic experience where he just saw his mother being tortured and having died in front of him in his arms and killed an entire village of children and men and women. He's going to say some weird stuff, but it also holds true that if Obi-Wan didn't hold him back so much, that Anakin would have been able to save his mother, most probably. And in the beginning of Attack of the Clones, he was telling Obi-Wan that he had these visions and these dreams of his mother, and Obi-Wan was just thwarting them off and saying, ignore them, whatever. Your thoughts betray you. To be mindful of the Force. Now, I 100% believe that Obi-Wan is the reason that Anakin turned to the dark side. And if Qui-Gon had survived, then Anakin wouldn't have turned to the dark side. Because I believe their philosophies were completely different. I think Obi-Wan was saying, okay, here's a kid with so much power, let's try to dial that power down, and let's make him learn how to tame that power and control it, whereas Qui-Gon would allow the Force to do its thing and let Anakin just become as powerful as he can, while still controlling his abilities, but not to hold him back and make him, if anything, weaker and slow him down. Now, there's so many times in the comics and the books and even in the movies where Obi-Wan is telling Anakin to slow down and to think. Now, I agree Anakin is very brash and he just kind of does things without thinking them through, but his ability in the Force is unmatched, is unparalleled next to anyone else. He has more potential than anyone in the entire Jedi Order, but it was because they were constantly dumbing him down and telling him to control his abilities and slowing them down that it was really what caused his aggression and anger in the end. All of this from Obi-Wan, telling him not to believe in these visions about his mother, which, turned out to be true, and that's partially why he ended up turning to the dark side, because he had visions of Padme. And he felt, well, okay, I'm not going to let this happen again with, my mother died, and now Padme is going to die, so I'm going to take matters into my own hands. The first time I listened to the Jedi, and I didn't trust my feelings, and this time I'm not going to make that same mistake. So then, when he gets denied the rank of Master by Mace Windu, which would have allowed him access to the restricted section in the archives, he was unbelievably insulted and angry, and this is why he took matters into his own hands at that point and turned to the dark side and did what needed to be done. So I think this excerpt is really cool and interesting in the sense that it really allows you to see where Anakin's headspace was at this point, and that it was really his true feelings that were coming out right after the traumatic experience. So these were probably emotions and thoughts he had harbored for a long time in his mind, and now that all of his emotions were rampant and just full of rage, he was letting it all out. And we can see that he did indeed blame Obi-Wan for his mother's death. This at least would have wedged a lot of issues between him and Obi-Wan, at least secretly in his mind, up until his turn to the dark side. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.